So she says, what are you going to make the silver vagina out of? And he says, your chamois leather.
I mean, if you've got that chamois leather lying around and you've got nothing or no other use for it, I mean...
Spray paint it, you know what I mean? Get it silver. Make the belt of nipples out of some salami. It'll be a hit. It'll be a Christmas hit.
Why is it silver?
Why isn't your vagina silver, is my question.
I buff it.
You buff it?
With my chamois leather.
Oh, well, there you are. See, I muff it.
Oh.
Welcome, poor unfortunate soul, to the Big Damn Cast.
Where we buff our muffs.
Yeah, we've had one hell of a fucking week. And it's culminating in us having, nay, forcing ourselves to watch 2 motion pictures as part of this ongoing pseudo series.
2 films.
Yeah, we've lowered it to 2 for this episode because we're going for shorter run times overall, folks. Keep up.
And I figured we'd have 2 mostly good things before we move on to the wet fart that does in fact end the Fox's X-Men universe.
Welcome back to our X-Men retrospective. You're probably thinking, if you're new to this, what? Yeah, go back, look at the thumbnails, look for the glowing yellow thumbnails. You'll be able to catch the previous episodes. We're going to be talking in spoilerific detail about 2017's Logan and 2018's Deadpool 2. So if you've not seen those movies, I'd be surprised if you listen to this and you haven't seen at least one of them.
Do you think they missed a trick by not calling it Deadpool?
Oh, well, no, I admire their restraint in not referring to it more as DP2 in the marketing more often, because of course DP being short for Deadpool. No,
I mean, there's already a lot of movies called DP2, I imagine.
Yeah.
So you can't really, especially on the adult market.
Do I have to have watched Double Penetration 5 Carpet Burn before watching DP6 the whole damn thing? I don't know. Clearly we've not watched these 2 movies, or if we have, we've watched them ripped without the official titles in the MP4 download version.
You've definitely watched all of them legally paid for.
But before we move on, filth bags, I'm Chris Fuck Wolverine Johnson.
And I'm fully vaccinated!
Yay! That's not a joke. He actually is. Hey,
it's great.
You know what that means?
Oh,
well, not much at the minute, really.
No.
There's still stuff that can't be done.
It means I'm full of the AstraZeneca and the 5G.
You can go to the cinema, go watch a movie, and then come home and brag to the rest of us that you've gone to the cinema and watched a movie.
Yeah.
They'll go, yeah, thanks for that. Cheers.
To be fair, I did that before I was vaccinated last year, during the summer of, maybe this will be over soon. But we're actually making it worse by doing all the things that we shouldn't do, but we're going to do them anyway because, oh my God, we're all just praying for something to change.
And plus, the government convinced 90% of the population of our country that you should all go out and eat now.
Yeah, eat out.
Go out and eat. It'll be fine. It won't cause an inflammation whatsoever. I hope the public hold it over their heads forever.
They won't.
Well, they won't, because people forget stuff easily. Like how you, gentle listener, have probably already forgotten to check back on the Big Damn channel on YouTube, because, believe it or not, since we last spoketh, the film review's gone up. If you want to find out my thoughts on the brand new Zack Snyder movie, Army of the Dead, no spoilers and then mild spoilers abound, head to our YouTube channel, Big Damn channel on YouTube. It also gives you a chance to listen to this podcast if you are a YouTube user more so than your podcast apps. You can listen to it through there as well. And check out a whole back catalogue of videos. Big Damn Love series, Spider-Man month. There's loads of shit on there. Go give it a watch.
You can check it out, but should you?
Yeah, I filmed the thing. Go watch it, you dickheads. It's really fun because I was uploading it.
It is Chris.
I was putting it in the Big Damn Review playlist, and I say at the start of the review, you've probably noticed there's not been many of these in the last year. That's because there's not been any film releases. But even when there has been a new thing to talk about, we've been talking about it on the podcast instead. But we're only really going forward, we're only really going to cover a new release if we feel like it is the main topic that week to chat on about, really. And failing that, we'll slip up a dirty little review on YouTube. But it was very strange to look at the playlist suddenly leap from March 2020's The Invisible Man to May 2021's Army of the Dead.
Jesus.
Like, oh my God, what has happened? So yeah, that review's out over there. As for news this week, Eternals trailer dropped.
That's a trailer.
It looks pretty, and yeah.
What can I tell you about it? Nothing.
It is interesting how Gemma Chan on a lot of the marketing press release prior to this trailer was listed as like the 7th, 8th, 9th cast member, yet the trailer quite explicitly confirms what Kevin Feige has said in interviews before, that she's the main character.
Yeah.
It's like, Cersei's the main character, not Cersei. Who's she playing? Who's she playing? Angelina Jolie.
No, she's playing Cersei.
Is she? Who's Angelina Jolie playing?
I don't know, some other person.
Some blonde Angelina Jolie. Let's have a little. I'm going to pull it up on my big screen.
Yeah, you do that.
She's playing. Angelina Jolie's playing Athena. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Gemma Chan is Cersei. It looks very pretty. There's a nice visual style to it. It seems to be its own little thing, and then at the end reminds you, oh yeah, no, this is part of a cinematic universe. They're having a round the kitchen table conversation about the end of the Avengers. So you've had 2 years to catch up, everybody. If you are surprised by what they say in the trailer, then it's not you. Also, it's interesting to see Kumail Nanjiani as Kingo in a Bollywood sequence.
Yeah, why not?
Colour me intrigued. So yeah, that looks good. Thoughts? People, have them. Enjoy them. Keep it to yourself. Or tweet them to us. We don't care. At Big Dumb Cast. And don't forget, as always, if you want to get in touch about anything we talk about in the podcast, or anything that's going on a Big Damn Stream, or just any news that you'd like to hear our opinions on, keep it relevant. Email us, bigdumbcontact@gmail.com. That'll cost you 0 pence, but at least a quarter of your immortal soul. Speaking of immortal soul,
yes.
Logan. It's about death, isn't it? It's a Western.
It is a Western about death.
And old, bald British men ranting about Taco Bell.
I mean, basically, yeah.
Yeah. Our X-Men marathon continues! With the third Wolverine film. Third time's the charm. Yes.
Yes, it is. It is. This is really good and remains really good after all this time.
So we're wibbly wobbly.
Yes.
We're wibbly wobbly with this one. We are in an alternate future.
2024?
2029. 2024 is when everything starts to go to shit, and then 2029 is where we catch everybody. It hurts, man. Like if you wanna box set this with another movie and imagine that they follow on from each other, the only one that really makes sense is the first X-Men. Give the first X-Men a watch, and then give this one a watch, and that works as a double bill in terms.
I suppose
doesn't contradict itself. The Statue of Liberty is mentioned. It establishes that Logan comes to the Xavier School, and Charles starts to help him figure out who he is. Like that's the extent of anything that you need to know.
References to the cage fighting stuff as well.
Yeah, references to the cage fight. Visual references to Cerebro, the big tank that Xavier's like living in, is very sort of like a battered old Cerebro chamber. That's kind of it, really, in terms of what you need to know going into Logan.
And that's kind of all you need.
It's a Spider-Man Homecoming or a Batman movie. It's like, we know that you lot get the basics as a member of the public. So,
and it's kind of the only X-Men film that's done that to this point. And that's super refreshing.
So, there's a company that has been providing shit to the world called Transigen. that has been improving ways of life for people and changing how things go and creating brand new crops and ways to sustain life on the planet through food and fuel.
Yep.
And suspiciously, around about the same time that their company comes into prominence, mutants stop appearing in the United States and then the rest of the world gradually.
Yes.
Meaning that, like, they're all but extinct in terms of new mutants. There are a few out there. New mutants! There are a few out there, and they're roaming around, including, past the Mexican border, Caliban.
A completely different Caliban
This
from
is
the
an
Caliban we've
alternate
seen
future,
before.
so pretend that it doesn't... Oh, God, but we are already one movie on from the last film, and it's a different fucking Caliban.
It's literally the next film as well, yeah.
Played by Stephen Merchant, who does a pretty damn good job. We don't often get to see him in dramatic roles, and he does a great job with this. We also have... sorry, I'm looking at my cast list here, and I've just realised that it doesn't actually list Caliban. That's really weird.
That
Oh,
is
no, there
odd.
it is. Sorry, there we go. He's just toward the bottom. That's very strange. We have Logan, James Howlett, who, again, you have to forget any continuity completely, because he knows that that's his name in this for some reason.
Yes.
But yeah, Logan, who is now working as a sort of a limo driver and party car hire driver guy, keeping to himself. His mutant powers are waning, presumably with age. His reflexes aren't as good. He can't quite pop his claws as easy as he used to. He takes longer to heal. His stamina's struggling. He needs, in the nicest touch ever, and in a move that actually kind of suits Hugh Jackman's face, he needs reading glasses.
Yeah.
Which I love that the fact the first couple of times you see them, they've still got the little store-bought label on them,
Yep.
which is a nice touch. And they are hiding in a big old fallen tanker in the farmland that they're sort of occupying or own or what have you. Charles Xavier, who is in his 90s and has to take heavy medication to stop him from having psychic fits that cause everyone around him to seizure. And that obviously the longer that goes on, the closer they are to dying or being seriously damaged. So it's already kind of like, oh, this is odd. Where's the X-Men? Where's the mansion? Where's the legacy
question.
stuff? What's the haps? Who's this mysterious, slightly cyborg-looking motherfucker called Donald Pierce, who's like, hey, by the way, we know you've got Xavier. We know who you are. We're not going to bother you, but if this woman comes to you, tell me. All right, bye!
Bye!
And you're like, okay. And thus begins the plot. Do you know what's really weird? This film keeps often being referred to as a Western because it's one of the bigger inspirations for James Mangold crafting it and the story as well.
And it also heavily references Shane.
Yeah. And it's sort of biggest comic book parallel, though not a one-to-one translation for many reasons, some legal, some out of taste.
Yeah.
Is Old Man Logan.
Yeah, it is the loosest, rough concept only. Adaptation of Old Man Logan.
It's got a few similarities. Yeah. Like, an older Logan has to courier someone across the country to get them from one place to another in a future that is far removed from the Marvel Universe or X-Men continuity that we know. Yeah. Along the way, you're going to bump into familiar characters or character archetypes.
Yeah.
And Wolverine is... In that, he avoids violence. In this, he can't really dish it out the way he used to, so avoiding conflict is the better option for him now. And that's kind of it, really, in terms of the comparisons. I mean, visually they play on it a bit. The farmland across the Mexican border is very much like sort of the ranches and that he lives on, and Old Man Logan, and obviously you get a lot of stretched out desert stuff.
Yeah.
Having Donald Pierce be a villain and essentially have... They're named once, which I quite appreciated. The Reavers be in the film, they are the antagonistic force that they're up against. Means you've got some kind of pseudo-futuristic, they've got cyborg parts. So you've got a bit of that going in visually.
Although we don't get the dude with the tank tread legs from the comics, sadly.
Which is the closest we get is they drive some tanks at the end.
Yeah, it's not the same.
It's not the same. That would have been a fucking baller move. And to be fair, and again, everybody, spoilers for Logan. By that part, when you've got a de-aged clone of Wolverine, you could have gotten away with the dude with tank treads for legs.
I don't know. I think that's still a jump.
Well, he can't jump because he's got tank treads for legs.
Give him rocket boosters.
Him, I did. T-baba. So we get Gabriela Lopez, who is looking after tiny little Laura, aka Daphne Keane, aka X-23.
Tiny little Daphne Keane.
Which is nice because, Lopez sort of is a slightly different role in the comics. And she is in there somewhere. She's one of the people who's there at Thingy's creation, but she's not on the same level as Xander Rice, who is there at the creation of X-23. Because in the comics, don't correct me if I'm wrong, Laura in the comics is a clone of Wolverine. She is grown sort of to be a new Wolverine by the successors to the Weapon X program.
I'm not 100% sure on her exact origin.
So I'm just gonna.
But yeah, she definitely shares some DNA with Wolverine.
She was apparently the clone and later adoptive daughter. It is revealed later she's not a clone, but a biological daughter of Wolverine. Okay, so twist. So bullshit. She was a clone until another writer went, actually.
Yeah,
do you know what? I'm going to change that.
That is how comic books work.
And that's what's happening here. Is there's Transgen have been secretly leading this experiment into creating mutants wholesale, taking kids and putting genetic experimentation procedures into their bodies and turning them into mutants to be used as weapons in a new version of the Weapon X program, essentially. Because it all comes back to that, which is why they've got Wolverine's DNA on file. So here's some interesting. I remember when this film was coming out, the press around it and the rumours around it and all that were talking about how Mr. Sinister was going to play into this.
Which apparently was the plan originally.
Yeah, because you remember at the end of...
at the end of Apocalypse, you've got the Essex thing. Yeah.
A film released less than a year prior. Here's the thing. This is what I managed to find out for it. Apocalypse's director, Bryan Singer...
appropriate reaction.
Yeah.
To the film and the director.
Yeah. He's the one who stated that the tease at the end was leading into Logan and Mr. Sinister would be the antagonist of Logan. James Mangold has never stated that. So it seems like even within the department that were working on the various X-Men films, no one was agreeing. And I think it's because James Mangold probably wanted to focus on it being a story about Logan, Charles, and Laura, not about, how do we get this elaborate fan favourite villain in and distract everybody from it.
It's not like they ever really do...
Characters like Pierce are interesting and known by fans, but he's not a Joker, he's not a Green Goblin.
But it's also an in-name-only version of Donald Pierce, in the same way that a lot of the characters in the various X-Men films up to this point have been, for better or worse... because it really is a mixed bag. For better or worse, that are sort of in-name only versions of those characters. But I think this does a really good job of just not having to worry about doing a bunch of fan service, but just taking a couple of these characters that are pretty well known, less known in the case of X-23, but still with a decent following, and putting them into a situation and seeing what happens. So he doesn't worry about having to chalk up a bunch of background references and sort of face lip service mythology gags and shit like that. It's just taking a couple of characters, like you say, Logan, Charles, X-23, dropping them into a situation and seeing what plays out, and it's not worried about stripping any of the interesting stuff away, so you can tell this whatever story they want with whatever villain of the film that they want. It is actually focused on in things that are interesting about these characters and what makes them compelling. And I think it's the first X-Men film that's actually done that. I think it's the last X-Men film that's actually done that. And I don't think we shall see its like again.
Oh yeah, this is the cake and the cherry on top of the cake of the franchise. Yeah. Like, you know, we've talked before. Like, I quite enjoy X-Men. I really like X-Men 2. I like First Class if I can forget that it's apparently a prequel. Like, if it's its own beast, I enjoy it a lot more.
There's stuff to like in a lot of the X-Men films, but you do kind of have to not think about any of it.
Yeah, it's a proper unraveler. Like,
whereas
the moment you put any brain power behind it, you go, oh.
This stands enough on its own. And even the things that do, like, sort of, like Stephen Merchant as Caliban, that clash with previous films, they're so well done that you kind of go, oh, I don't really care, because this is better.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't really, like, no shade to the guy who plays Caliban in Apocalypse, but they didn't really do anything interesting with the character.
He's one of the very few characters in Apocalypse that, like, I remembered after seeing it in the cinema. Like, to the point where, like, it became sort of a running line in our house where, like, we were saying, like, oh, no, I know. One of us, Lucy or myself, would go, Caliban knows. And it'd be like, we don't really like that film, but we remember that line. And I think it's just because he's having fun delivering it. But again, this is I've looked into it more and more, and every time you find Logan now on streaming services or for whatever, the opening caption always has something along the lines of set in a bleak alternate future. Yeah. So it's like they're making a point of saying, this is not continuing on from the previous movies. This is its own thing. And it's like, cool. I mean, if you could add that caption to every X-Men movie after number 2, that would excuse a lot of what's fucked up.
Yeah, it's one of those, because every X-Men film is kind of approached as its own thing, apart from when it references the other ones. It tries to do both of them at the same time.
Remakes the older ones, as we'll get to in the next retrospective. Which is, I think, what you're saying about it really bottling down to concentrating on just what makes these characters tick, and that being the core, is personified beautifully in Dr. Xander Rice's contribution. He is the primary antagonist of the movie, played by Richard E. Grant. We only meet him a couple of times. We learn either through outright admittance or through hints in the performance and the script just how big his influence has been. Yeah. Like when he starts asking Caliban about Xavier's what would you call it?
Condition.
Condition, yeah, and how it's worsening and everything. The way he's asking about it, he seems genuinely fascinated, trying to pinpoint, what is it? Is it dementia? Is it atrophy? Like, what is it? And it's because you realise, the reason mutants are extinct is because, as they say later, he's been putting shit into the food. Yeah. This company he's been developing that has become more prominent in the last sort of 5-6 years has essentially dampened and outright removed the X gene in new mutants. So kids that would normally come into the powers during puberty, the powers aren't developing. No. And the reason for this suppression is so that he can have the monopoly on mutants by creating his own to then sell or use for military purpose and financial gain, blah, blah, blah. But the way he's asking those questions to Caliban, you realise, he doesn't know the extent of what it does to mutants who were already around. Yeah. He wants to study it, which in turn explains why Xavier's degrading the way it is. It's not just age, but also why Logan doesn't heal anymore. Yeah. That part is never outright stated. No one just outright in the film says, this is why he's not healing anymore. It's because he's been eating, like everyone else on the planet, chemicals for years that have been fucking up his mutant abilities. And it's just kind of one of those, you realise it. The reason why it's never highlighted, the reason why your point is absolutely correct, that this is not about any of that, this is just background, it's dressing, is summed up beautifully when Xander Rice is talking to Logan in the middle of a Richard E. Grant performance where he's brilliant, and it's the proper first kind of we are talking, and Logan just shoots him in the fucking neck and moves on.
Yeah.
Like we're not sitting around to find out what the evil plan was. We don't care.
I don't care about this.
I want to get those kids out of here.
Yeah,
That's all I give a shit about.
This isn't the actual plot. This is just distracting from the actual plot. And let's get to the actual plot.
The shocking moment of where that goes on, where he just pulls a gun. Yep. Wolverine just pulls a gun, and you're like, those two things don't go together. This is weird. I mean, sure, we've seen him running around with bayonets and whatever in the X-Men Origins title sequence of that, but you don't think of Wolverine and guns because Wolverine doesn't need a gun. Wolverine's on the receiving end of guns.
His name's not Gunverine.
Yeah. He ain't Bishop. He ain't Forge. He ain't Cable. He ain't insert name of other 90s X-Men here.
He ain't Adam X the Extreme.
He ain't Agent X, who may also be Deadpool, maybe.
He ain't Maverick.
He ain't Maverick. Holy shit, there are so many. There are so many of them that are just, I have a gun. That's my mutant power. I have a gun.
I mean, to be fair, Adam X the Extreme doesn't have mutant powers, but he is a 90s weirdo.
Yeah, oh god.
doesn't have a gun, sorry. I mean, he does have mutant powers. He can set blood on fire. That's
a thing. Can we talk briefly about the kids in this?
No.
So I found a list.
We're actually legally not allowed to talk about children.
A list of what the kids are called, the group of kids that they're going to find at the border to Canada.
Oh yeah, okay. One of them is Richter.
One of them is Richter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is the sort of the main kid.
Yeah.
Is Richter. Although instead of him just shifting tectonic plates, it seems like he just moves things with his mind.
Yeah.
Because he just straight up lifts that tank.
Yeah.
He doesn't make it topple. He lifts it and drops it.
He's metal bending. He's been watching Avatar The Last Airbender. It's fine.
But the reason why I wanted to bring them up is the only one of them that's a named character of the comics is Richter, played by Jason Ganao. But one of the kids the character's called Valet, and the actor is Han Soto. And I'm like, that kid's parents knew exactly what they were doing.
Yeah, they did. They did. They were not stupid.
We are the Soto family, and our son will be called Han. And there is no debating. It is happening.
To Mr. and Mrs. Soto, a son, Han.
The plot's perfectly simple. Get from A to B. It's a road trip movie.
Yeah.
And like a Western, along the way, we steal some shit to get by. We learn some lessons.
We argue.
We argue. We help some folks in need.
And get them killed.
And drag them into the hell that's following. That entire... My favourite chunk of the film, funnily enough, is from the start of the family dinner, saving the horses on the highway, and the start of the family dinner, right through to it all going to absolute shit. It's horrid to watch. It's really upsetting, especially what Charles goes through. Oh my god. And it's again one of the things that's sort of beautiful is they don't outright state what Xander Rice's chemicals have done to the mutants that already exist, but you've got to know that Logan's put two and two together, which is why he just kills him and doesn't give a fuck. Because thanks to Xander, the X-Men are dead.
Yep.
Was it 700 people in the surrounding area of Westchester are dead?
Yep.
Because Xavier had one of these episodes and killed everyone, and he doesn't remember. Because they're giving him power suppressants that are making
fuck with his memory,
forget. But the more he takes them, the clearer his head is getting in the present. But oh my god! Just also Xavier shaves his head, confirmed.
Yeah.
He's got a big old white wispy mane at the back of his head in this film. So
yeah, that's true.
He's been shaving his head.
Although
so Apocalypse didn't do shit to his scalp.
It might be one of those things where he's chromed dome on top, but he's still got bits around the sides. But for dignity's sake, he gets rid of them.
Thing is, it's Patrick Stewart, so it's just dignity incarnate, really. And even when he's riding around in a wheelchair covered in dribble in this, yelling about Taco Bell, it's still like, Yeah, but he sounds good doing it.
He's very good in this. He's very good in this. He's very good in this. Jackman's very good in this. He does get to swear. Yes, and with relish.
I'm fucking 19. It's like, Professor X said the F word, but like the classy Professor X, so it actually hits.
Daphne Keane is fantastic in this.
What? Yeah, so Daphne Keane, this is like one of her first roles, essentially.
Yeah,
she was very young. She was Daphne Keane is as of this recording, she is 16. So when they were making Logan, she would have been 12, going on 13. Yeah. She doesn't speak for the first 2/3 of the movie, and when she does speak in the third, it's very sparsely and in different languages because she is bilingual herself. I'm just going to say this. This is the fates being kind. Do you know who nearly played the role?
Oh, it's going to be someone I'm going to hate, isn't it? Who nearly played the role?
Not necessarily hate, but someone who just doesn't... And you can see why they were suggested and why they were auditioned. Because execs think too obviously when casting stuff. So this film came out in the latter half of the 2010s.
Yeah.
And they were looking for a young female actor who could play a troubled teen with powers, who's on the run and befriends other people but doesn't quite trust them, and it's just 2016's Netflix franchise showcased this actor in their lead, and she's just been one of the least interesting parts of 2 Godzilla movies. So
no.
Millie Bobby Brown is talented, but like I don't know, this isn't a role for her, but you can see why she was put forward for audition, because someone at Fox would just been like, oh well, she played teenager who angry and
that is exactly
how
that's exactly how movie executives think. Yeah totally.
So
totally
that didn't happen. Here's an interesting note I'm seeing on this cast list I've got here. The note for Caliban suggests that the Thomas Le Marquis version in X-Men Apocalypse is a younger version. Fuck off.
Nope.
Oh, what? So, sure, he ages 40, 50 years, in 40 years, but also becomes bloke who talks like this?
Yeah.
Is he? All right, okay. Nope, not having that.
No.
Not having that bullshit.
No, one does not simply become Stephen Merchant.
Oh, unless you get transformed into a Horseman of Apocalypse at some point, get all big and beefy, and then when you come back, you've got a different accent. Like when some people have heart attacks at a young age, and they come out the back of it, and they're okay, but for some reason they now have a different accent, and they can't explain it. So there you go.
Yeah, there we go. Explained.
That's the thing that happens. So
Stephen Merchant's really good in this as well. Also,
he's so good, and the makeup, it's subtle. It's not over the top. He's not like alabaster white. It's which suits the tone of this film brilliantly, and also means he wouldn't be completely vanished in the Logan noir version of the movie.
Yeah.
Which got regraded from the top down when they did that for the home release. Hey, Snyder, you're not the first to do it. James Mangold wanted this movie in black and white. The studio went, no. And he went, all right, what about on the home release as an option? And they went, fine. And then around the time the Blu-ray and DVD came out, it got a very limited re-release in theatres as the black and white noir version.
Also, Mad Max Fury Road did it before either of them. So
of course, 2015, yeah.
Blood and Chrome.
Blood and indeed Chrome. What
Shiny
a lovely day. Chrome. Starring Venom and Beast.
Venom and Beast.
Stuff you love about Logan.
The cast, as I've already mentioned, and all the performances, lovely. The fact that it takes its time to sort of breathe and have these lovely dialogue scenes, like the stuff with Caliban and Logan early in the movie, like the stuff in the hotel room, like the relationship between Charles and X-23 and Laura, and the sort of how you see him slip into his old mentor personality when he's with her.
Yes, that's so wonderful. Like, it's just suddenly you're watching like a slightly giddier version of the character he portrayed in '99.
Yeah,
and in 2000, sorry, and it's just sort of like, oh yeah, okay, this is him talking to like a young kid. This is the Xavier we remember, and it's like his whole demeanor, physicality even changes. During those scenes, and it's making it more heartbreaking to have him taken away again.
That is it's so rough.
Like when he just before he gets gutted by X-24, and he admits that he remembers.
Yeah, it just opens up.
He opens up that he remembers that he. And again, they never say it outright. You hear something on the radio. You have like references to like, what happened to that old team of yours, and the comics, like people have written comics about the X-Men, and so it's being the first Marvel property to do that now.
Yeah,
do what the comics do, which is acknowledge that in universe there are people making comic books about these superheroes.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's kind of cool.
But less than a quarter of it happened. Maybe a quarter of it happened, and not like this.
Yeah. And the costume Wolverine's wearing on the cover for that is sort of similar to the one that's suggested at the end of the Wolverine in the alternate ending. And it's like,
I think they do yellow and blue rather than the tan and brown.
Yeah, it's yellow, and it's got it's got like the different stripes where the metal is.
Yeah, it's not based on a comic book one. They're like it's original costumes.
You sort of get a glimpse of Colossus and a couple of other characters on the books, and you're like, oh, okay.
Rogue.
Rogue. Yeah, so even in this alternate future, like these guys get in the field more and got to do stuff before they were all fucking murdered. I like that they take that from the original, but they give it more emotional weight here.
Yeah.
By allowing two actors to sort of bear the burden of what happened. These two performances, because again, like you said, Jackman and Stewart do phenomenal work in this as these characters. They know them inside out by now, and as a result, they can carry it. Because for those who don't know, in the comic book Old Man Logan, this is very fucking loosely based on.
Yeah, like I say, it's concept only, really. Vague concept only.
Old Man Logan sort of it takes the idea of that early 90s crossover event where all the villains just went, do you know how we should get rid of our respective adversaries? Let's swap them.
Acts
and
of
then
Vengeance.
They'll go and fight them. That's the one. Because the only one of them I've ever read was Spidey versus Magneto. But it's around the same time that Spidey becomes Captain Universe. So he can hold his own. It's like, oh shit. Although you get an earlier version of that when Spidey versus the Juggernaut, which is freaking brilliant. And he defeats him in the most humiliating way possible by drawing him into a construction site, and then the Juggernaut just sinks into some still setting cement. And then he was out of the comics for like 2 years, and then in a Spider-Man story, he just suddenly fucking bursts out of the bottom of this building.
Although, as we'll get to shortly, it's not the most embarrassing way Juggernaut's ever been defeated.
That's very true. So like they're relying on the weight of the world of these two characters to be brought across by the actors who are familiar with them and their performances. Because in the book, Wolverine kills all the villains descend on the X-Mansion. Like they begin their plan by all going to the X-Mansion to kill the X-Men.
Yeah.
And Wolverine fights to save his family, slicing and snicting and, ripping and tearing his way through all these villains.
Until it is done.
Until it's done. And one of them asks him, why, Logan? And then Mysterio's illusion disappears to reveal that Logan has just been murdering his family. So perfectly suits the horrid, grim, dark version of the world that's in Old Man Logan. Like, it's a perfect kind of, this is where we're going from this point on. Brace yourself for Nazi presidents and cousin fucking Hulks. But then... and Hawkeye being married to Spider-Man's granddaughter, I don't understand that one either. Point is...
listen, Ultron 9 is a better dad than you'll ever be.
I mean, they're not wrong. So this version, of course, is Xavier did it. And it works so much better because suddenly you get to play with the carer dynamic. Like, Charles is the person who looked after and cared for Logan and made him a better person, and now like Logan's returning the favor. But to Charles, like especially when medicated, it feels like he's being imprisoned. It feels like he's being forced into this. It's really uncomfortable. Like as someone who's had, dementia in the family and everything. Like some of those early scenes with Logan and Charles are really they are not a comfortable watch for me.
No,
Seen that, been in that conversation. This is not fun. But hats off to them for playing it the way they do. It's brilliant. The family that they move in with, very briefly.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find the actual chuffing cast list. Eric LaSalle and Elise Neal are Will and Catherine Munson, the mum and dad. The kid's not credited here. That's annoying. They're great, and that touch of humanity sort of it pulls you out of the fact you're watching a superhero movie for a few minutes in the right way, because you see like, oh yeah, X-Men bullshit and all that is still kind of in a bubble. Like, it's its own thing. There is a real world here. There is, real people and families dealing with real shit. And their stuff might be terrifying and scary, but, like, they are still flailing around in a, maybe a quarter of this happened, but not like this, like, sort of logic. They are living a comic book adventure, whether they choose to accept it or not. For Christ's sake, Wolverine spends the finale of the movie fighting a clone. I liked that twist. Remember when we saw it in the cinema, I was just like, I did not see that fucking coming. I did not see this being the direction the story was going to go in. It looks great. The way the fight between Logan and X-24 is choreographed and everything, like, it's seamless. The visual effects team did a fucking great job. In a film that is a lot less visually flashy than the other X-Men films, even the Wolverine, with its bullet train and Silver Samurai and everything.
Yeah.
Like, the use of CGI in this is done so well.
I said that there is one dodgy moment in the entire film. There's one dodgy moment.
Which one?
It's when X-24 lifts him onto the tree and impales him on the tree.
Yeah, he looks like a rag doll.
It's
like for a man whose bones are made of metal, he should not move like that. That's a dummy.
Yeah, the weight of it's just wrong. But that's it. Like, in the entire film, that's the only moment.
I like the X-24, and again, it's because this is, for better or for worse, it is technically the third film in a Wolverine trilogy. Like, they're not really connected, but I have seen them packaged as such. I've seen them on sale as such in HMV and places, like the Wolverine trilogy, and Logan is the third film. So I do kind of like that little bit of poetic symmetry that the clone of Logan, the feral, shitty version of him with no remorse, who's just a killer and reacts on instinct and violence alone, looks like Victor does in X-Men Origins Wolverine. Like, he's got the same mutton chops and short hair that Liev Schreiber sports in that movie as his brother. So it's like that's a nice subtle choice.
Who was originally supposed to return
for this movie?
Yes.
Oh shit!
He was going to be running the casino, and they go to him for help.
I don't know how I feel about that.
At one that was, I don't know how far into the scripting it made it, like how many drafts it made it lasted, but that was going to be the original plan.
Well, I hope he got paid for reserving his time.
I don't even know if it got that far in, but
yeah, I think that would have been having him literally in it may have been a step too far. Because that would have completely taken me out of it and made me go, oh yeah, X-Men Origins.
Well, I think it's the one thing, it would have tied it to something so much lesser in quality,
and also
that I don't think you want to be carrying that burden.
Like, it's been nearly a decade since that film came out. Like, general audiences would be like, what? Hey, you what, mate? What's this? Also, you would have had to have given him a giant long hair and a mane, because, like, apparently at some point he became Sabretooth. So, flipping. Yeah, I think that would have been a step too far.
Yeah, no, I get why they didn't do it.
Yeah. Also, like, why would Sabretooth be running a casino? Anyway.
I don't know, maybe he's
then
reformed.
Again, maybe he's depowered. Maybe all the stuff he's been eating's made him sort of regress slightly as well, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Special shout out to Boyd Holbrook as Donald Pierce.
Very slimy. Very... Yeah, he's good. He's good in this. He's not been... I think the Predator was probably supposed to propel him to further stardom, and then it was shit.
Yeah,
so
no one came out of that looking great.
No.
Because it was like, Thomas Jane, Keegan-Michael Key.
There was a really good cast in that, and it just didn't work out for anyone.
He's got some stuff coming up. He is signed on for the upcoming Indiana Jones film. He was in We Can Be Heroes, the Shark Boy and Lava Girl spin-off kind of.
He was in the Fugitive reboot.
Really? What, the TV show?
TV show, yeah.
Ah, okay. He's a great actor who I hope gets a really great payday at some point. He's really good in this. He's the Corinthian in Netflix's Sandman coming up, so...
Okay, yeah, alright, I'll go for that.
So he's got some chances. But he's great in this, and he's perfect kind of henchman material. Like, he's slimy and resourceful and dangerous, but also a complete coward who's hiding behind an army of stronger people.
Yes.
as proved by the point where, like, he's all smiles and all confidence and all smugness, that as soon as Laura comes out, his first instinct is, shit.
Nope.
Shit. Like, no, don't. No. Down. No. And you just see he's, like, backing away even more.
He's putting as many bodies in between her and him as he can, yeah.
As this 11-year-old girl gets closer and closer, and you're like... which does a brilliant job, because that's the first breakout scene of, like, here's what she's capable of.
And she wrecks you.
Y'all ain't ready for this. And the last thing I want to touch on with this film is the violence. This is the first R-rated X-Men movie that wasn't Deadpool.
It's very violent.
Like, finally getting to sort of unleash... Because one thing that's great about Wolverine is he's a cool-looking character as a member of the X-Men, as a solo character. But the moment you think about what his claws would do, you realise why you don't see them do that much in adaptations. Because, like... dude would really hurt people, like, a lot.
And they just open with that here. Like, they do not shy away from it.
Like, we see him slicing at people and them spinning around Power Ranger style. The closest we ever get to sort of seeing damage that lasts is, like, the death of Jean. But even then, magic swirly, magic swirly, so you don't really pay attention. And him supposedly killing Mystique in the first X-Men. And then in number 2, she's like, you see she clearly still has actual physical scars from where he stabbed her. Implying that, this isn't not like playing nicey magic retconny. Like, no, you stabbed me with giant fucking knives. I have scars on my body. In this film, they're like, oh, how quaint. That guy's leg's coming off. This guy's face getting stabbed. This guy who's having a seizure as part of this mind attack is going to get stabbed through the head.
Yep.
It doesn't stop. He doesn't freaking stop. And this is him at half capacity. This is him knackered.
If that, yeah.
Like, the most X-Men-y bit of violence he does is when he, like, snaps the guy's gun in half and throws it on the floor. It's like piss off now. The rest of the time, it's like, no, I'm just going to cut off a limb. No, I'm going to lobotomize you. No.
Stab, slice, stab, stab.
Yeah. Is my response.
Stab, slice, stab.
The X-Men Holiday Special. Oh God. I like the way this ends. I think it's absolutely spot on.
It's a real. I kind of wish the franchise had ended here. I really wish it had.
The X-Men films, absolutely. I don't mind there being the next one, because the next immediate movie we're going to talk about, because, like, they feel like a spin-off from it all anyway. But this should have been the end of X-Men. Like, this is it now. We're done. Yeah. We've said all we need to say.
It literally ends with an X grave marker,
which is beautiful. And I love the fact that, like, Laura, like, she eulogizes him by just repeating the freaking movie. That was Shane, wasn't it?
Yeah, Shane. Yeah.
Yeah, she's just out and out, like, repeats the dialogue from when she was watching it with Charles in the hotel room, and it's just that this is perfect. And it freaking ends with a Johnny Cash number over the end credits, just to, like, really, really hammer home.
Yep.
Like, yeah, you've been watching a western like that. That's the vibe we were going for. And it's quite an upbeat song as well.
Yeah.
It's just like, we're leaving you on this. Bye, everybody. Off you go. The X-Men series is gone. It won't come back now. Oh God, it will. We'll talk about Dark Phoenix in the next X-Men.
Yeah, diminishing returns personified in a film, but we'll get to that.
Matt.
Also, speaking of diminishing returns,
Matt, our next film.
Yes.
How dare you? It can't be diminishing returns. You have 3 options. Our next film is 3 movies. There are 3 cuts of this next film that exist.
Let's just go with the bog standard, shall we?
All right, fair enough. Ladies and gentlemen, Deadpool 2, the sexy motherfucker is back.
As neat as the idea of Once Upon a Deadpool is,
I saw it.
By the same token, the sort of
curious.
The sort of tweeness of the concept just has me curling my own toes in sort of
I can confirm
reluctance.
I can confirm that Once Upon a Deadpool, for those who don't know, the PG-friendly cut or 12 certificate-friendly cut of Deadpool 2 that was released later in the same year as Deadpool 2, which was essentially an experiment, because absolute fucking hack. Sorry, I mean internet journalist and film reviewer Grace Randolph heavily led a petition inspired by a mother who complained that the first Deadpool wasn't suitable for her kid, and that's why they couldn't get a ticket.
Because it wasn't made for your kid.
Grace Randolph was one of the people who led this charge for Deadpool to get a PG release, and it was fought against a lot. Then when it came to Deadpool 2, there was no such stink was being raised, no such fuss was being raised, because, she didn't have, like, some news story to ride off the coattails of and try and make herself more famous. And also, parents at that point had kind of realised that, if I think my kid could handle this, I'll just show it them when it's on home media.
Yeah, exactly.
Deadpool 2 decided to try an experiment, sort of led by a few decisions, one of which seems to also have been because they knew that the Disney merger with Fox was, like, potential. So they were like, can we play with Deadpool in PG territory and see if maybe it can carry over? Now, Kevin Feige has since confirmed that Deadpool is now back with Marvel Studios, as are all the X-Men property rights.
Yeah.
He's confirmed that the next Deadpool is currently planned to be an R-rated movie, still, and it will be in the MCU, but it will sort of... We're going to kind of prepare our audiences for it.
Yeah, I think they've been doing that slowly.
We're going to explore where we can put this out without confusing people and making them think it's a kid-friendly movie.
I think they've done a little bit of that with sort of amping up things slowly in the Disney Plus stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, Falcon and the Winter Soldier was like, it's nowhere near R, obviously, but it's just a step up from the stuff that's in the films. It's a little push in that direction.
And the whole Star service now on Disney Plus as well, meaning that there is entertainment aimed not at kids available on Disney Plus, means that they can kind of test the waters a little more for, like,
which is how I watched this. I watched this on Star.
Same, because I didn't have to unplug my PS4 and do the HDCP and all that shit to get the Blu-ray in up here. But I went to my digital copy that I got with the Blu-ray, which back in the day was Ultraviolet, so I was on... what was the service I used to watch it on? Let's have a little look, I've got it here. Flickster, which was great, did its job, could stream stuff from it, could download stuff from it. It worked pretty damn great. When Ultraviolet closed down and all those services had to migrate elsewhere, most of my collection moved to YouTube. And the Deadpool 2 copy is in 480p, and I'm like, nah, fuck that shit. So, because I'm watching it on an iPad while sat on the toilet, I'm watching it on a big monitor. Like, I want to see it looking nice.
You're watching it on your phone, as Christopher Nolan intended.
While standing up.
Yeah.
As Christopher Nolan also intended. But, like, Once Upon a Deadpool was them sort of first testing these waters by releasing an alternative cut. I was like, do you know what? I'm going to see it. Guess what? In the UK, it wasn't a 12.
Okay.
It was a 15 still.
Oh.
Yeah.
That kind of...
The BBFC couldn't take it down. Despite all the swearing being removed or censored, and several shots taken out, there was still enough of sort of like the violence and gunplay and levels of like threat and peril that the BBFC were like, yeah, it still just skirts into a 15. So in the UK, it was the exact same certificate as the original release. In the States, it was a PG-13. Once Upon a Deadpool reframes the events of the movie into a wraparound narrative where, like the opening and intercut sequences from The Princess Bride, Fred Savage, same actor, but now obviously like in his late 30s, is tied to the same bed that it's a perfect recreation of the bedroom from Princess Bride. He is tied to the bed, and Deadpool is reading him the story of Deadpool 2 because it's a classic Christmas story. To which Fred Savage is, of course, like, the fuck are you talking about? And also, please let me go. Certain scenes are taken out. Certain deleted scenes that are in the extended cut that can be used are put back in. It's a fun alternative, and it was also done with profits for the movie going toward the Fuck Cancer charity campaign. In terms of its ticket release, so it was done for a good cause in terms of, because that was the thing. Ryan Reynolds and Maximum Effort and the production company that are like, the machines behind why Deadpool as a film franchise is happening didn't want to do this. They agreed to do it if money could go toward charity from the ticket sales. They said, we'll do that. We'll do it. Because we don't think we should... like, the film as it is what we want to make. But you want to do this, so let us make it, but this amount of it has to go toward charity as a profit. From the profit has to go toward charity. And it's like, do you know what? All right, they all get like a bit of an extra payday, like a fraction compared to what they normally get.
Yeah.
But they're making money for charity. So, regardless of what you feel of Once Upon a Deadpool, it did some good in the world. As someone who saw it, I enjoyed it. It's a very sort of like... It's how I imagine, like, the novelization, the tie-in movie novels would go.
Yeah.
It's how I imagine the tie-in movie novel for Deadpool 2 would have been presented. Like, it's just Deadpool takes advantage of the different medium to tell it to you a different way. And some of the stuff with Fred Savage is really, really funny. Like, annoyingly funny. To the point where I'm like, why could this just not have been an extra, like, another short?
I'm worried about... the annoyingly funny stuff just being annoying. That's always been my... Yeah. I was worried about that with the first film, and thankfully was more than proven wrong.
I think that's where we're both... where we both approach Deadpool as a character and everything slightly differently, because I've very much been on the Deadpool train and enjoyed it wholeheartedly, and there's versions of it I don't give a shit about. Like, I don't really care much for Rob Liefeld's original versions, and, Sins Past and these first few stories. I'm not really fussed about that.
Yeah.
I like a lot of the 90s run.
The Joe Kelly stuff.
The Joe Kelly stuff. It's very 90s, but with an early 2000s visual aesthetic. With characters like T-Ray and all these sorts of bad guys we like. The fuck? I love the Daniel Way run from the 2000s into the 2010s. I think it's quintessential Deadpool. And I've read some of the Marvel Now era, and I've liked it, but I'm not carried on with it really beyond like the first arc. What's Dead Presidents, I think, is the first or second arc. I've not really moved beyond it there. Yeah. And I've really liked Cullen Bunn's Elseworldsy kind of takes on the character with Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe and stuff like that. So for me, I'm all up for it as long as they balance the obnoxiousness and I think like the short film No Good Deed, aka the 4-minute teaser trailer for Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
With him changing in the phone booth and finally having a cameo with Stan Lee and everything, like in the same shot. Wow, was it great Spider-Man suit? Zip it, Stan Lee! It's kind of, I like that. I think Once Upon a Deadpool sort of meets that in terms of its ridiculousness. It's not too annoying. It sits in the right spot. I wouldn't seek it out over watching the theatrical or extended cuts.
No.
But if you see it for sale or streaming and it's cheap or got a limited time on streaming, folks, and you've got an hour and a half to fill, because of course it's shorter as well. Give it a spin. Give it a go.
Good, because I think Deadpool 2 is too long.
Yeah, well, which is why it's probably best you didn't watch the extended cut, which is the other version of the movie, which just has some alternate jokes, alternate lines, changes the order of a couple of Cable's earlier scenes.
Yeah.
Extends the toilet paper conversation between Alan Tudyk and Matt Damon in prosthetics.
Oh, great. I bet that's...
Talking about, what is it? Pampers wipes or whatever it is.
Yeah. I bet that's riveting.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's not different enough to like warrant anything. I think it's more a case of we got these two really fun actors to improvise a scene talking about toilet paper. So let's.
And you've got to be careful with stuff like that, otherwise you end up with Ghostbusters 2016.
Sorry, don't you mean Ghostbusters Answer the Call?
Yeah,
the home video release. Yeah.
Because you get good stuff, and then you just bury it in the stuff that you don't want to cut because you think your mates are funny.
Your dog is called My Cat? No, it's called Mike Hat. Oh my god. Paul Feig. Learn how to edit. But the main contribution the extended cut has is a scene that's available to watch online, because it was put out for promotion, which is an extra time travel mid and post-credit scene whereby he actually goes back to kill baby Hitler in like the hospital shortly after he's born, and can't bring himself to do it because it's a baby and he's like conflicted, and then at the end he says, I'm gonna tell Cable to come here instead, and that's the end of that joke. So
I don't like the mid-credits time travel stuff.
Cool, we will get to that. So Deadpool 2 picks up not too long after the first Deadpool. Deadpool's taking mercenary jobs mostly against bad people because, as we saw in the first one, quite well established in that flashback scene with the pizza delivery and everything.
Yep.
Wade
Dwayne
Wilson. Dwayne the Deadpool Roxon. Wade Wilson does tend to like thermos, sandwiches, corn plasters, telephone money, animal footprint chart, and one triple thick condom.
You never know.
Wade does tend to favour jobs that take out scumbags, as opposed to innocent targets. So he's doing that. He's fighting Yakuza, and he's like cutting up limbs in bathhouses, and la-di-da-di-da.
All that stuff.
One of the Russian gangsters that he manages to not kill tracks him home, and on the night where it's the anniversary of him and Vanessa meeting and getting together, she reveals that she's had her birth control removed. They're gonna try for a baby, which is what they've always wanted. And you are reminded really heavily of, oh my god, wasn't it wonderful, all the scenes with these two in the first movie? Wasn't that one of the things that worked so well? And one of the things that stopped the first movie becoming too wacky Deadpool, because it grounded it in this relationship. She gets killed. She gets fridged.
Yep.
The performances that spin out of this from both Ryan Reynolds and Morena Baccarin, respectively, in the scenes they then share after this, both of them do a fucking phenomenal job. It's great. Him hugging the killer in the middle of the road instead of killing him at first, and you just like, and then turning into the truck. All that stuff. It's played well, but she was one of the best things about the first movie.
Yeah.
The thing you wanted in the first movie wasn't like, I don't want these two crazy kids to get I want these two crazy kids to get back together. It was, no, I've seen how brilliant they are together. It's wrong that he feels he can't talk to or approach her now that he's all fucked up. I want them to reconcile. They need to get... The driving force of why the first movie is something you invest in is because you want them to be together again. You want Wade to get over himself and go back to her. So when they do reunite at the end, it's so fucking triumphant. Now, I can understand if you want Vanessa out of the story a bit more in this second film for the sake of the adventure.
Why?
But like, you know, like if you want to tell a story where you don't want to put her in harm's way...
In that case, you don't have to kill her off, though.
You don't have to kill her off.
There are other ways to take her out of play.
Now, the writers have since gone on to point out that they genuinely were not aware of the term fridging, which comes from a Green Lantern comic, right? Fridging comes from a Green Lantern
coin was turned
comic.
by Gail Simone. the term was termed. The term was coined by Gail Simone
the die is
in
cast.
reference to a Green Lantern comic from the 90s. Yeah.
Yeah, where Kyle Rayner comes home to find his girlfriend murdered and stuffed in the fridge, and the only reason she was killed was, again, so the lead character, who happens to be male, is put through an arc of like, oh, my pain and torment, and it's going to lead me to do this, and la la la. And, that's not to say you can't kill off love interests in fiction, but it's a bit of a done trope, especially in the heterosexual male-female dynamic. It is a done trope now.
In a movie that consistently calls out examples of lazy writing as a joke, quote-unquote joke, it's incredibly lazy writing.
Yeah. Now, the writers have pointed out they didn't do it with that intention in mind, and they didn't realise that it was something that, within comic book culture, especially, people have pointed out as, can we stop doing this now, please?
Is it because they're all dudes?
But they also then went on to say that, well, that's the reason why, and we'll get to it eventually, but that's the reason why they don't mind it too much, because they always knew they were going to bring her back in the mid-credits sequences. So this might be more palatable had we been in the universe where we've already had a third Deadpool by now, and she is absolutely still one of the main characters, and it's more a case of, sucks she's not in the second one as much, but do you know what I mean? But because we don't know the fate of it, and because you still have to watch the film, it sucks.
Yeah, and also it's not really about whether she comes back or not, because still
it's done as a gag.
Yeah,
it's done as a gag.
One, it's done as a gag, and two, it is the central motivation for the whole film.
Yeah,
it is the death of a female character motivating a male character. That's the problem aspect of it.
It's such a dead trope, and it's kind of, it's beyond insulting at this point.
It's lazy writing.
That's just lazy writing, is it, guys?
Is it?
Did you not notice? They did say as well that they were going to write Vanessa out. She was going to break up with him, but they felt that she wouldn't. So to take her out of the story, they killed her. It's like, well, maybe just don't write a story where Vanessa has to be in it. Like, you can write a reason for her to not be around him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, she's not going to follow him to the icebox. You could still have him join the X-Men for whatever reason, and the whole stuff with Russell go. I don't know. I mean, at the same time, and it upsets me slightly less, but only because, again, of all the Deadpool stuff I've read, it makes me, I can sort of see the way that they do it in terms of her talking to him in this kind of limbo and being like, you're not ready yet, is heavily mirroring the Joe Kelly run with Death.
Yeah.
In the comics, Deadpool is in love with Death, the physical, literal personification, who in the Marvel comics is this mysterious skeletal female figure wearing purple robes who, comes to collect people when they die, apparently, based on who's writing what and when, as is the case with all fiction involving the figure of Death, unless it's Terry Pratchett, in which case, what a fucking boss.
Yep.
But the problem is, the physical personification of Death in Marvel Comics already has someone pining for her, and that's Thanos. So, in the comics, Thanos is always trying to appeal to Death. He's not trying to correct the universe or save everyone by halving its population. He's like, I'll kill half the universe to appease you. I want you to love me, because he's a mad titan. That's not a dig at the MCU version. I think the MCU version's fucking great and absolutely works. But the comic one is an out-and-out villain who murders people to try and please an imaginary lover. In the comics, Deadpool wanted to die. He couldn't. Then he learned about Lady Death. He fell in love with Lady Death and can't get to Lady Death because he can't fucking die. Like, fate is not allowing it to happen. And she makes it very clear that she wants him. Like, he is her most sought after possession, like, suitor. Like, she wants Wade because he is unobtainable. So it becomes this weird love story for a time where he's trying to get to her by leading himself into as many situations as possible where he'll get fucking murdered. And again, it sort of seems like to be a righteousness thing. Like he wants to prove that he is worthy of her by going out in the best, most heroic way imaginable. So it sort of bothered me less on initial watch because to me it just sort of felt like that was their take on that. Like there was someone beyond the veil who he longed to be with and couldn't get to.
Yeah, I get that.
But I completely agree with everything you're saying. I don't feel as strongly about it because I think I'm so embedded with that version of Deadpool that I'm like, I'll see what they're getting at. But yeah, no, you are completely in the right on this one.
I think nothing about this. Not that everything about this misses, but nothing about this hits as hard or as well as the first one does, and it repeats jokes.
Yeah, there's a lot of it. It sort of works. It works better as a box set with the first one.
Yeah, like there is a moment in the climax.
At the same time, though, the death of Vanessa means that if you box set the two of them, you start this one going, "You fucking what?"
Yeah,
yeah. So go on. There's a moment in the climax. Is it the cue the music? Is it the cue the music moment?
No. I mean,
because that's
is
beat for beat.
Yeah, but there's a moment in the climax where he takes an implement through the head.
Yeah.
Goes a bit doolally. Like,
and it's less impressive this time.
Yeah. Greets another character and then goes back to normal and the object is removed from his head.
Starts making sex gestures at them as well.
Yeah.
Like in the first one, it's Vanessa and there's all the little animated like unicorns and rainbows and everything around his head. Yeah. And in this one, it's just a love filter as Colossus is picking him up.
Yeah.
You're like,
but it's the same joke.
Yeah.
But not done as well.
Yeah. There's also a bit of a samey feel in the Icebox, which is from the comics, isn't it? It's a Canadian prison. If it is,
I'm not aware of it, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Canadian prison for aggressive mutants, and we get a shitload of throwaway cameos in that scene. Like we're talking extras in the background who are made up a certain way.
Yeah.
To be like, one of them is Puck.
Yeah.
Of Alpha Flight. One of them is Omega Red. There's a freaking giant dude with a skeletal looking face, pale as fuck, long blonde hair, ponytail on the top, and that like Omega symbol tattooed into his forehead. You're like, Omega, that's fucking Omega Red. That is a really interesting visual X-Men villain.
We get Black Tom Cassidy.
We get African American Tom Cassidy. This racism will not stand.
But they just keep going back to it.
I don't mind it when it's to wind up Cable, but I know what you mean.
It's not that the joke isn't funny; it's that they just overdo it, and it's like that's what I mean. I think, if anything, I think this movie kind of suffers from having Ryan Reynolds having more creative control.
Yeah, because the end of the joke should have been the headshot and the "You killed Black Tom, you racist." Like that should have been the end of the joke. Yeah. So, but like Black Tom Cassidy, like a Captain Britain, Psylocke X-Men villain, most prominently features in Deadpool comics in the 90s. Just throw away. It's like, oh, okay. But again, because I've looked into this one, he was meant to be like the secondary antagonist of the movie. Outside of like where Russell was going, it was going to be Russell and Black Tom Cassidy.
Yeah.
But when in production they came to the agreement that no, do you know what? We're going to use the Thing in the basement as the secondary antagonist. They decided to scale back Cassidy's role and then ultimately go, well, yeah, we're not gonna.
Which is definitely one of the better parts of the film.
Oh yeah, because Deadpool stories tend to work better when they're smaller scale. Yeah. Like the first one, like. In the real world, the big outside world of where the story of the first one's taking place, what are the stakes at the end of the movie? Oh, a tanker might fall over in a scrapyard and people will hear about it on the news. Like, the personal stakes are what matters. It's not, an end of the world scenario. And the same with this one. It's like some fucked up shit's going to go on at this school and it may affect the future, but it might not. And the big thing we've got to fight is literally just a big CGI monster. It's like, okay, sure. And a CGI monster that, once it's done whatever it does here this day, is then going to be like, right, let's go get a beer, or right, I'm going to go do this now. Like, it's not... I kind of like that. That it is just, it's these smaller stories. Like there's big scale set piece stuff happens in them, but it's not an end of the world scenario. It's not big or elaborate. The superpowered beings are their superpowers a lot more kind of grounded and contained. Like even Negasonic Teenage Warhead, it's blasts within a small radius.
Yeah.
Even Russell, it's just fire coming out of his hands, like being shot in one way. It's not like he's burning a building and like turning the ash into laser beams that'll rain down from the sky. You know, it does its job. So yeah, Deadpool loses Vanessa, and then Colossus brings him into the X-Men. I like the wish fulfillment there after the first film. I like the idea of, go on. Let's see him actually attempt this. Like, let's see Colossus try to make Wade do good guy shit. And it leads into some fun jokes about the X-Men as well, and, you know, some throwaway. The extended cut has more of a conversation of them in the kitchen where Wade is, like, labeling everyone's stuff in the freezer. Like, he's making little Velcro labels for everyone. And that's when we get the first suggestion that he may have jizzed into the hand wash, which is then a throwaway reference later when Colossus snips his fingers. Which is a very Deadpool joke. Like, it's a very Deadpool joke.
It is quite good. I can't deny that.
We get another continuity breaking character as well. We get Yukio.
Yes!
Who was in The Wolverine as an older character set before/after this, who's got nothing to do with this. But there you go. And again, we get a continuity breaking thing where we do get, and it's a fun little cameo, the idea of him saying, right, seriously, why are there never any other X-Men here whenever I show up? This is ridiculous. This is fucking stupid. As like Beast quietly closes the door on a meeting of the X-Men in another room. Fun throwaway gag, made more complicated by the fact that we don't fucking know what the continuity is anymore. That's clearly the cast of characters in the film that we last saw set in the mid-80s. This is weird, but fun joke. Like, it's a fun little, oh, there are other X-Men. There they are. They're just purposefully avoiding this conversation. Okay, fair enough. It's also the same mansion that we see in First Class as well.
I think they keep that pretty consistent.
For the most part, it
does
go
prequel films.
Oh, sorry, not First Class. Days of Future Past. From Days of Future Past onwards, they try to like keep it as the same one. The exterior is different in nearly every movie. Like, it's the same exterior as we saw in the two Deadpool. In the two Deadpool films, the exterior is the same. The interior is now starting to match some of the others. I like the Cerebro joke.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Him just fucking around with the helmet and then just a little break of it before the scene moves on.
Yeah,
I like him mimicking sort of a cover from the Daniel Way run of him wearing like an X-Men t-shirt as a uniform, and I love the trainee gag. Like every time he brings it, trainee. It's like, okay. One thing this film could do with less of, any film for that matter, is T.J. Miller. And not just because it's T.J. Miller, but also because in this film, Deadpool is now part of a gang of wacky, snappy, quipping, la 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 la. The scenes between Ryan Reynolds and T.J. Miller just improvising and sparring with each other in the first one are kind of fun. It's not as fun in this because it's just T.J. Miller will now add another line.
Yeah.
Also, on top of Weasel and Wade, you have Dupinder, who I don't think is an unwelcome addition, but is a joke that because there's too many comedy cooks, it just kind of it's you need to lose either Weasel or Dupinder.
Yeah,
and I would rather lose Weasel because T.J. Miller. Also because Dupinder sort of would be this then fun reflection of Wade is trying his best to mentor and be there for Russell. And here is an example of him doing that in the last film that's gone horribly fucking wrong. It would be a nice little mirror, but it's just too many wacky characters in.
I think that the whole thing is right. Like Tim Miller exited the sequel because Ryan Reynolds wanted to be in control of the franchise. I get that. I get Ryan Reynolds wanting to sort of shepherd this because it is kind of his baby project. But I think the problem is that Ryan Reynolds wants to make it. It is a comedy. It should be funny. It should be a comedy franchise.
Yeah.
But he wants to make it funny at the expense of it being well written. Like,
yeah, there's almost the thing that saves it is having more grounded character. The thing that saves it every now and again is that it has these more grounded characters in there. Like Cable is never played for laughs.
No.
Domino is not played for laughs, but she's played with a sense of humour to it. And
I mean, she's played with charisma, which, you know,
Zazie
can take you a long way. She's really good in this.
Fucking charismatic in this. The X-Force team, like, obviously two of them are sort of the comedy characters of Peter and the Vanisher, but the rest of them are played more as like, no, they are sincere in terms of their context and what they're here to do as characters. They're completely sincere.
But then the whole
Star and Bedlam, like, you know, they're playing it like, no, we're going to do this. We're mutants. We're a team. We're going to do this mission together. This is going to be great. And I like that because, one, it's just sort of cool to see, you know, cool to see that sincerity at this point in the movie. Yeah. I mean, Colossus is very sincere, but he's also played for laughs a lot. But like, it's really nice to see that because it's like, oh shit, the film's been missing this a little bit up to this point. And then it hits, it helps the gag land a bit more of the really morbid, oh fuck, they're all dead. Like, they're all dead immediately. Which I think has slightly diminishing returns over the years.
Oh, definitely.
But at the time, for me, it really worked because the marketing just before the film came out was so heavily on this. Oh my god, he's got a team together.
But I think that's one of those things. That's definitely something that they did. There are things in this film that just don't work on a second viewing, and I think that's one of them.
Because you know what's coming.
And so it sort of undercuts all the sincerity. Because you already know what the punchline of the gag is, and some jokes just aren't funny if you already know the punchline. Some of them are.
Yeah.
Some of them remain funny because you know what's coming. That isn't one of them.
No.
Thankfully, they move past it pretty quick.
Oh, yeah. It is immediately skirted past it and leads into a really fucking great action sequence.
Yes. Like, really good action sequence. Like, the whole thing with everything from the end of that sort of, oh, X-Force are all dead bit.
Everything from the moment you see Stan Lee's face on the side of a building. Yeah. Basically. Like, everything from there is like, oh, this is good. Yeah, this is really good. Real good.
And then it dips a bit in the shirt cocking sequence, like which again takes a fun idea for a gag, and then just runs it into the ground.
Only anchored by Josh Brolin being sincere.
Yeah,
and Leslie Uggams delivering a fucking perfect like end of scene line.
Yeah, that scene could be a good 5 minutes shorter, and it would be better because like what you want to get to is the bit where he gets up and walks over to Cable. Like, that is still hilarious. That is piss funny.
I mean, I wish TJ Miller would shut up during it.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, he's a big part of the problem, in that scene.
He works so well in the first one because all the scenes where he's just improvising punchlines is in a sparring match with Ryan Reynolds in the first one. It's about them going back and forth. And then you watch the extras and see that they had like 70,000 more options. Yeah. And they just picked some of the sharpest ones for the movie. Whereas in this, there's a lot of, just let TJ talk. Let him talk.
Yeah.
Let him say things.
It doesn't quite work, especially because, like you said, the fun of that scene is Cable's reactions to the just stupidity of it all. Yeah. And to Domino to a degree.
Yeah. Although she seems to be breezing through it a lot more like, this is weird, but something is telling me I need to still be here, so guess I'm going along with it.
There is the great line where they're in the car on the way to the last mission. She's like, I should have finished college.
Yeah.
Because she's just the situation she's in, but she doesn't exasperate at it because she knows she's lucky. She kind of
she kind of attacks everything with a smile. Through...
It's a nice character. I like it.
And again, I like the subtle redesign. Like they made the very smart choice of the actor we are casting is not white or alabaster white. No. So it would be weird to make her that and then give her the black domino around her eye. So instead, what's it called? It's skin
vitiligo, I think.
Yeah, hang on. Let's look it up. So we dirty bloody. I can't see it described here written down. It's probably in the production thing. But yeah, it's
vitiligo.
There it is. It's a neat little change that is like you look at her and you go, yeah, that's Domino. That's Domino. Yeah, it's like there she is. Hi. And she brings a lot to it. And again, it's like you say, charisma. The thing I love the most about this film is, again, and it goes against what the film's aiming to do ultimately. It's part of the plan for the film, but it's not like the mission statement, is Brolin's performance as Cable.
Yeah, he's really good. He's just a really good straight man.
Yeah, it's so needed.
Yeah.
Like, it is so needed. Like, the straight man in the original film was you, the audience.
Yeah.
Like, Wade was bouncing off of you and taking you along for a ride. This time, we're kind of just observing a Deadpool adventure.
Yeah.
Occasionally with him going, all right, I'm going to narrate to you now, and we'll talk a little bit.
And the wackiness sort of gets... because it is just wacky, 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 it just doesn't... Nothing really lands until you have a straight man to bounce off. That's comedy. Like, you can't... If it's just wacky all the time, there's nothing to sort of bring you back and give you that contrast, which you need to get a good... to make it funny.
Yeah.
It just sort of washes over you. It's why the Anchorman movies like don't work on repeat viewings and stuff like that. Like a lot of that sort of very improv heavy comedy, like your Anchormans, your like a lot of the Will Ferrell stuff, your Zoolanders and things like that.
Yeah.
They just don't work on repeat viewings because it's just a bunch of people being silly. And you string it together, and it's funny the first time you see it. It's like, this is silly. And then if you ever watch it again, you're like, that's.
It's why things like Naked Gun like endure way longer, like Pink Panther and stuff, because like the ridiculousness is beautifully choreographed,
yes,
and orchestrated,
yes,
and there's like skill beyond a momentary random line. Haha, wasn't that funny? We'll move on in there. That's not to say there wasn't improv in those movies. Of course there was, but it's all about structured, like carefully cultivated moments of spontaneity.
It's why things like the beaver gag in Naked Gun always makes me laugh.
Yeah,
because it's. I know exactly what's coming, but it's just the concept, the execution, the delivery, like the timing of it is so spot on.
Yeah.
The protection gag with the big body, the full
the
body
two giant condoms.
Yeah, just it's so, like you say, it's so well choreographed. And
anything
sort of
Peter Sellers did
out.
in a Pink Panther movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's whereas people are not going to talk about T.J. Miller constantly referencing the avocado line from the first movie in the same way. Which I on this rewatch, because I've watched Deadpool 2 a fair few times. I do enjoy Deadpool 2 as a whole. But like,
I don't hate it, but I just don't think it's anywhere near as strong as the first one.
Oh no, the first is lightning in a bottle. This is like sort of like sort of putting your ear to the bottle to listen to the thunder for a bit. It's very familiar. It's very comfortable. Because you're returning to something you enjoyed, but by the end of it, by the end of it, you could have just watched the thing you enjoyed again.
Yeah.
There's still like some decent stuff in here, like again, Brolin as Cable, design as well. Like just the look of him is fucking great. It's a great version of him. And X-Men fans get a tiny little bone thrown their way after he goes back in time to correct it. He references daughters called Hope, and it's like Hope Summers. There you go, everyone. Ding ding ding. I mean, the Essex Corporation own the orphanage,
but again, they don't do anything. They don't do anything with it
other than these people are taking in mutants as orphan mutants and torturing them to see what their powers will do.
They don't really do anything to make Eddie Marsan's character like a particularly interesting villain.
Yeah, he's not with the Essex Corporation and everything, like in the same way you would imagine someone working with them to be, if you know the comics of Mr. Sinister, because this guy's just like, no, you're all sins and we must get rid of you. And it's like, what? What is this? And I see why they did that. I think the blessed are the wicked who are healed by my hand thing turning into future Russell's like sort of mantra for killing people. That's a nice sort of little bit of sinister symmetry. The idea that the thing, the preacher's words as they abused and tortured him as a kid becomes the thing he lives his life by when he's murdering people by his hand and everything. Like there's a nice thing there, and I think Julian Dennison does a really good job as playing this adolescent, like misled, scared mutant. Like,
Yeah, I like Julian Dennison a lot. I think he's good in this.
some of his gags are a bit daft, like a bit much. Like the constant references to the prison wallet get a bit much.
Yeah.
Like the idea of you keep talking about the fact that he's got a pen that was stuffed up his arse and everything. Like, all you needed to do was have him bring it out in the icebox and then try to stab someone with it, and then have him bring it out again at the end to unlock the collar. Like, that would have been, there it is. Like, oh god, it's the penny out of his arse. He's still got it. But like, Deadpool keeps mentioning it throughout the movie.
That's what I mean. There's no restraint. There's no restraint, and so it just sort of runs wild. And because it's not unfunny as a whole. Like, it does hit, but because they're throwing so much out there, there's a fair few misses because it's not. It just needs pruning back just a touch for it to hit way better.
I really like the whole line of like, do you ever see any plus size superheroes? This industry discriminates, because Russell,
that's good.
Whether he realised it less than a year later, the character got some justification in Avengers Endgame, where Thor, packing the pounds on, got to be a badass at the end. And I was talking to about this the other day. It was someone at my job. We were talking about like Thor and everything, and they brought up the whole like him being tubby in the last one. It's everyone sort of saw it as a joke, but it's not really. Like there's an immediate like kind of laughter. Oh god, because you're not used to seeing him that size. But then it's never played off as a joke. His weight is never played off as a joke.
I don't think they quite stuck the landing on what they're trying to do with like using it as an expression of his sort of trauma and. Yeah,
there definitely would have been more subtle and nuanced ways to do that.
Yeah, I don't think they quite landed on that, but I get what you mean.
I appreciate that they don't super slim him when he powers up at the end, because you know that any other filmmakers other than maybe the Russos would have done that. They would have gone, he zaps at the end and he's all buff ting again, and these guys were like, no, he's a big guy now, and we're gonna make him look like a badass as he is. So we're gonna go with the braided hair, the braided beard. We're gonna go with the bigger armor to hold in his weight and his size. We're gonna give him the fuck off cape and the giant stormbreaker. Like, let's go with it. Why not? Like, Volstag's a badass. Why can't Thor be a badass like when he's a bigger size? Let's do it. But like, I do like that observation in this. And quoted Julian Dennison said when he was interviewed about it, he says he felt the role was particularly special because being chubby, he would watch superhero films and quote never see anyone like me. I'm excited to be that for other kids who look like me. Unquote. Yeah. Which. Yeah, like, even though he's the potential villain of the story, like, it is cool to see him lobbing fireballs out of his hands and just like torturing a religious racist.
Yeah, love racist torture. Like the torture of racists.
I love the line the way Deadpool keeps talking about the orderly at the beginning with his secret sex lips, and basically
that's a great line.
Just basically like. He just pigeonholing him as probably a paedophile.
That's what I mean.
But then calls him Jared Kushner at one point, which is just like, oh, he does look like him.
That's what I mean.
That's perfectly observed.
There are so many lines in this that really land like that, but it's the smaller like one-off moments, because then in that same sequence you also get the I'm an X-Man trainee gag, which they just keep doing.
I appreciated that. Well, yeah, it could have been one less, because it's very obvious that they've just got Brianna Hildebrand in the ADR doing the follow-up ones. Yeah.
It's just
I feel you on that.
It doesn't quite they just overdo it just a touch. It's frustrating. It's like Ghostbusters. It's not as bad as Ghostbusters 2016, but it is frustrating in the same way, because it is a case of you have something good here, just ease back a little bit. Just ease back a little bit, and you're there. And then which takes me to the sort of the end of the film with the time travel gags at the end. I think it's too much.
Let's talk about that first before we talk about the one last big plus of the movie. So go on. The time travel gags it's a Cable's sacrifice. He has two charges, and this is my issue with it mostly with that one.
Yeah.
He has two charges, and the whole point of him going back and saving Deadpool's life is that he's essentially thanking Wade for securing the future.
Yeah.
and setting up the film that was going to happen that isn't happening now, which was an X-Force movie with Cable as the main character.
Yeah. Because Josh Brolin signed on for 4 films as Cable.
4 movies, and he might still be held to that. He might still be offered that, and if not, he'll be paid a lot of money to be bought out of that contract. So
yeah, I imagine so.
It's a win for Brolin. But obviously, but he was Thanos. Yeah, I mean, this film acknowledges that. There's one throwaway line where Deadpool calls him Thanos as well. So, there you go. But he's like, I'm going to stick around for a while, make sure you don't fuck up the world. And then 5 minutes later, we're in the mid-credits scene, and Negasonic Teenage Warhead, who's not been shown to be a technical genius at any other point, or Yukio for that matter, fix a time travel machine.
Yeah. Now,
obviously, it's for the sake of a gag, but the writers also were like, the reason why we're not too bothered about the Vanessa criticism is because she still was always going to come back to life in the mid-credits scene. You can have it one way or the other, guys. Is it a joke or is it a serious emotional payoff?
Yeah,
Which
because
one
it basically retroactively removes all the stakes.
Yeah, because the time travel in this is played, to be fair, like the time travel in the X-Men comic books. Like, it's played very sort of Back to the Future-y and everything. Like, he can be back here now doing this, even though that would change the future, but that doesn't serve the story. So instead, he's going to be here now and all that stuff. Like, because of course, if Fire Fist, and I do like the fact Deadpool can't help himself but laugh at that.
I mean, it's a bad name, yeah.
It is a bad name. If Fire Fist doesn't kill Cable's family, then Cable wouldn't go back in time to stop Fire Fist or kill Fire Fist. So it is that whole thing of like, if the timeline's righted, why is Cable still here? Like, he should now just fade into the future and disappear as the timeline corrects itself. But then, of course, why would he be stopped from blah, 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 blah. Point is, you either play it for a laugh or you play it straight. And they play it for a laugh. Because now the time travel device is a thing.
Yeah, because whenever they have the choice to play something straight or play it for a laugh, they always play it for a laugh, regardless of whether that's the right choice or not.
Yeah. Yeah. You can still be funny whilst taking the world of it seriously. You just have to be smarter in how you write the jokes.
Yeah.
I don't mind the little throwaway gags either side of that. Like, I don't mind the Wolverine one. I think that's just it. That's a very Deadpool. We are breaking the fourth wall completely here to go. We know that Deadpool was shit. That's why we made this Deadpool anyway. And
the Wolverine one is fine. It just goes on a little too long. Just a little too long. Like a couple of seconds too long.
Yeah.
Like they just hold on
unused footage of Hugh Jackman reacting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Wade's sort of exit is a bit overdone.
Yeah, because it doesn't pay off now.
No,
because that was part of a bid by Ryan Reynolds to convince Hugh Jackman to sign on for a Deadpool Wolverine movie.
Yeah,
which he really wanted to do, and Hugh Jackman had expressed interest in it. And then after the way Logan was received, he doubled down on, no, do you know what? I am actually done now. This is the perfect note to leave on.
Yeah, and I think he was right to do that.
And Ryan Reynolds then was like, right. So there's that joke in the film where he's like, your buddy Deadpool's going to call on you. You say yes. And it's like, that now doesn't make sense because there will never be that project.
Yeah.
So, like, that would have paid off if in secret Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds had already signed on to make this, like, third film, and then we got it.
But it still would have been lost in the shuffle of the Fox merger, I think.
All he had to do is he would have just walked in, shot the other Deadpool in the head, and then be like, thank God. Sorry, been waiting 9 years to do that. Okay, bye. Like, loved you and Les Mis. Bye. Just like, little, and then move on. And I don't hate the Green Lantern joke, but it does kind of feel more like a private joke now. It feels like a joke.
It feels a bit mean-spirited.
Yeah, because Ryan Reynolds
just
still made that movie, and people worked on that movie. And it's not a great movie, but, like, if not for that film, he wouldn't have met his wife. He wouldn't have met with Taika Waititi, which has led to production collaborations. Do you know what I mean? The DC films wouldn't, have got off in a way that they did.
We wouldn't have been able to see Peter Sarsgaard's sweaty, greasy prosthetic forehead.
We wouldn't have been able to see Mark Strong getting to play a really sort of this suits him role again and be denied anymore.
Yeah.
All the hits. Like
all the hits.
It just it feels mean spirited because it's one more Green Lantern joke after the first film packed in like 3 of them,
which I think is the same problem with the X-Men Origins Wolverine joke.
Yeah, I get. Yeah, well, it's brushed over in the first one. It's just an action figure. He's like, ugh.
Which is why it's funnier.
Yeah, true. So I think the Green Lantern gag in the credits for this would have worked better and been less egregious if there was no mention of Green Lantern in the first film at all. If it was just after 2 films, it's a joke about how he's glad he's making these films and not that one anymore. Like, sure. But like you said, people still made it.
Yeah.
Like, people still made Green Lantern. What it should have been is like, where's that audition script? And just Deadpool shredding it in the corner of the room or something. And like, so it's more he will never audition for Green Lantern rather than
they have
I'm
to go
kill
for
you for being in that movie.
Yeah, but they always go for the thing that's more sort of quote unquote edgy.
Yeah. I mean, at the same time, I kind of like the idea that they're making massive comparisons with Ryan Reynolds and everything in Deadpool, like obviously because he plays him, but around that time in the comics, before he was cast in X-Men Origins, there was this throwaway line in the comic, which Ryan Reynolds read and was like, "Oh my god," because he did dip into Deadpool comics. That's why he was a big fan of the character. Every now and again, he would buy the books and catch up. Where someone says like, "What do you look like under that mask?" and he said, "Ryan Reynolds crossed with a Sharpay." So do you know what I mean? It was just one of those things where it's like, this actor and this character are now cosmically intertwined. Like there's always going to be some kind of reference going on, and you know, maybe that's right, but like to hammer it in. However, Ryan Reynolds gives us one other performance in this film.
Yes,
there is, and I want to end on this because it is, like you said before, one of the absolute fucking bonuses of this movie.
And it's a weird performance because the way that they've treated his voice sounds like Josh Brolin.
Yeah. So this film's got some weird little cameos. Matt Damon, Alan Tudyk, Brad Pitt. Little throwaway ones, slightly longer ones, like Terry Crews and stuff. But the best one is a character cameo, a character's cameo in the movie that turns out to be important to Act 3's entire structure. The monster in the basement of the icebox, the character model, what you can see of it is visually based off director David Leitch. The motion capture, the facial capture, and the voice, albeit with some treatment on it, is Ryan Reynolds doubling up as the Juggernaut.
The Juggernaut.
Holy shitballs. Oh, holy shitball. That is my favourite gag in the film, and it's not even a joke. The score when the Juggernaut is fighting.
Yeah.
You can't stop this motherfucker. Like, it's just this whole beautiful chorus arrangement, like a lot, a full on. Like it's basically a DSE array. It's that really. It's arranged in that kind of holy shit. Like this,
but it's the subtlety that makes it funny.
Yeah, but
because you don't immediately notice it.
And they give you a little payoff for paying attention during the end credits, where if you stick around long enough, you get to hear it uninterrupted, like at full volume. It's like that is fun. The Juggernaut's in this movie. The fucking Juggernaut. And they don't reference the previous take on him. They don't mention it once. Like, the closest you get as a reference is that he escapes a convoy.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, his arrival in the movie is the same as it is in X3. He is broken out of a convoy truck taking dangerous mutants from A to B. There it is. Boom.
That's all you need.
We don't get him in full costume, but we don't need to. We get like a version of it, especially when in the fight with Colossus, he just rips his sleeves off, and you're like, there we go. Now he looks a bit more like the Juggernaut.
Close enough.
He's got his bare arms out.
Yeah.
I like the helmet being sort of a separate piece to the neck. It looks more like a Sontaran.
I mean, he's very Sontaran adjacent as a design. Yeah,
he is. He's the right size this time.
He's enormous. Yeah,
he's a big fucking boy. There's a throwaway reference to Xavier, but it's not obvious unless you know, which is kind of nice. And I like the fact that his entire motivation is just, right, this lad helped me break out. He's been nice to me. Sure, I'll help him out. What do you want to do? Want to go beat up a paedophile? all right, let's go.
Cool.
Like, that's his entire motivation. And then just he's been rumbling for a fight, and he gets one.
Rumbling for a rumble.
Yeah. You're the X-Men fan
Yeah.
in this podcast. You're the X-Men boy.
Yeah.
Is this everything you ever wanted from the Juggernaut in live action and more?
Not quite, but it's pretty close.
Why does it work for you? Why does this one work where the previous iteration terribly failed?
It's not Vinnie Jones. It's not a really bad muscle suit.
Yeah.
And you get to see him go toe-to-toe with someone who's in his size class.
Yeah. Yeah, he goes up against Colossus. I mean, now that you've said Vinnie Jones, I wouldn't have hated it if they'd got him to voice him.
You know what? I wouldn't have hated it if they'd brought him back, just not with that design and that crappy muscle suit costume. Like, ugh.
Just make him the motion capture, even. Just
That's been unfair. Like, Vinnie Jones was not the problem with that version of Juggernaut. That version of Juggernaut was the problem with that version of Juggernaut.
Thanks to him, we remember that version of Juggernaut. Like, and we all quote him and say stupid lines that he says in the movie. But, because of his energy and his actual enthusiasm. What do we think about how much punishment the Juggernaut takes in this final fight?
I love it.
He gets fucking wrecked.
Yeah, it's great.
Like, he causes some damage. Like, when we first see him, and Deadpool just lists off a series of comic covers where the Juggernaut's head is front and center.
Yeah.
Including the first mention of Thor in a Fox movie.
Yeah.
As well. And they probably got around that legally because technically Thor isn't a public domain name. So we'll mention Thor. Because I was like, come on, mention the Spider-Man story. Cowards. The first thing he does is just like, I'm going to rip you in half now. And then just rips Deadpool in half.
Without missing a beat. It's great.
Yeah. So we get a version of, what do you call it? Ultimate Hulk and Ultimate Wolverine, where he rips him to pieces and just throws it. And I like that guy. I can't feel my leg. Oh, no, wait, here they are. He just like pats his own shins.
It's good. It's good.
And I like the Yoda backpack.
Yeah, that's good.
Domino carrying him away using his legs as straps.
And like I say, the baby leg sequence is a pretty fun sequence if you trim it down by about 5 minutes.
Poor blind Al. She just wanted to build a freaking whatever the name of that IKEA cabinet was and watch her stories. That's all she wanted to do. I love the look of him. I love the weight of him. I love the fucking size of him. I love the bit with the school bus being chucked. The whole, like, we need a bus to get
we need a bus to get all these kids out of here.
Bus smashes through. Come along, children.
Yeah. Good. Great.
No, is it?
Great.
This way, orphans.
It's very good. It's
Stacey
very
Beats
good.
is fucking great.
It's like I said, there is a lot of good stuff in this film. It's just it doesn't quite hold together. They just because they overdo it in the wrong places.
Yeah, I do wish we got to see in that alternate universe play out a little bit with the X-Force film that was in the planning from this.
That would have been nice.
And was on the cards up until a month after the Fox purchase by Disney.
Yeah.
It was only then that all the X-Men... It was after the purchase that obviously Disney and probably Marvel Studios weighed up their options and made the call to cancel all X-Men films that were in development.
They probably saw whatever state New Mutants was in at that point and were like, do you want to do any more of these? Do you want to...
Because that was already... There was a sequel planned for that. Not necessarily greenlit, but planned. And Gambit was, as of that time...
And I haven't seen New Mutants at this point, so I can't speak to it personally.
That's what's going to make our next X-Men retrospective interesting, is that we'll both be watching a movie for it that we've not seen before.
Yeah.
So that's going to be different.
That is going to be different.
And I'm excited for it. In many ways. Speaking of excited...
yes.
We're coming to an end on this week. If you've got emails, folks, send them in. Especially for next week, because next week we turn 5. This fucking stupid thing that's in your ear right now has been going on for 5 years as of next week. And as it's our 5th anniversary, we want to hear from you. And what we want to hear from you is your PIN numbers. We want your mother's maiden names. No, it's a joke. I have to establish that's a joke because this is the internet and some people will fall for it. We want to hear from you. We want to know when you jumped on the Big Damn Cast. We want to know which episodes you've revisited. We want to know which is a fave of yours. Just let us know. Wish us happy birthday, you bastards. We want to hear
it'd be
from
nice.
you. So bigdamncontact@gmail.com. You can also tweet us at BigDamnCast on Twitter. You can catch Matt live on Fridays on twitch.tv/BigDamnStream. And as for next week's episode, keep an eye on the socials in the coming days. Because you might be surprised in it. So...
We've still not nailed down the exact plan, but...
No, because life.
You'll know.
Because life. But with summit will happen, so pay very, very, very close attention to our social media, folks, in the coming days. We'll love you and leave you with Matt's favourite line from Deadpool 2. Take it away, Matt.
Jesus.
This is all your fault, Ian. Bye, everyone.